move. We know that Black Lives Matter was not celebrated across the board. We know that Black Lives Matter is considered to be something that was divisive, and people thought we were saying only Black Lives Matter, and we were saying Black Lives Matter too. Like, in addition to other lives matter, we were saying our lives matter as well, specifically when it comes to a conversation around police brutality.
So what do we got going on here? Well, I saw the actual justice warrior talking about this, and it's like, this is perfect for my channel. The Black Lives Matter are, of course, very woke, and they are people who would be against me. And, of course, anybody else out there who fits my racial and sexual demographic. You can thank the actual justice warrior for this video that you're about to see here with me. Now let's dive in and see what they're doing in D.C. regarding Black Lives Matter.
D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser's decision to remove Black Lives Matter Plaza has sent shockwaves through our region and across the country. The mural served as a symbol for equal rights and a visual representation that Washington, D.C. was leading the way for change.
All right. She's not bright, this lady here. This was in no way significant. This mural that they're going to paint over was not leading the way for change in the United States. The whole Black Lives Matter movement was a BS movement, and we know what it was all about. It was about get whitey. That's what all the woke stuff is about, get whitey. Not all of it, but most of it. It's either get men or get whitey, right? Get straight people. We can't have normal people in the world, and we can't have white men. Those are especially evil. We can't have white women either, but really we can't have white men. So there's no significance to this mural. The movement itself was significant in that it decided that it was going to destroy the United States because, of course, the United States is inherently evil because it was founded by white men, and therefore it's against all the other people, even though they are suffering no real meaningful discrimination in the United States. We have every opportunity to become amazing in the United States. You just got to find the right niche, and then you can earn millions of dollars.
News 4's An Yang sat down with a local professor to discuss the move by the mayor and the impact it will have for years to come.
D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser says the Black Lives Matter mural on 16th Street will be painted over. The bright yellow letters that spell out Black Lives Matter became symbolic nationwide after the murder of George Floyd. Joining us now.
Those letters are symbolic. Yep. Those are symbolic after the ending of George Floyd, a man who died of a drug overdose. I've watched the entire police cam video. He fought his way out of the car, begged to be held on the ground. The back of the police car, he fought his way out of the back of the police car to beg to be held on the ground. So he's being held on the ground. And wow, what do you know? Drugs in your system will make it so that you can die if you're put in a compromising position. We've known this. If you get knocked out, like, you can die if you're not laying on your side. Weird. Just that's how easy it is to kill a human being. But these letters here are not a symbol for change. They are not a symbol for unity or integrity of any kind. They are about get whitey. And that's all it is. Every time you see Black Lives Matter, what they're saying is, like, white people's lives need to be less important in the eyes of everybody.
To talk about the impact of this change is Dr. Kay Wise Whitehead, the founding executive director of the Carson Institute for Race, Peace, and Social Justice at Loyola University. Thanks for joining us. So it may not come as a surprise.
All right, so we got a professor here. And maybe this person really is a professor, but you know what it means to be a professor? It means you have a terminal degree in your field, and you do research. So there's a terminal degree in race studies. Great. See, like, my students, they'll call me professor. I'm not a professor. I don't have a terminal degree. I don't have to have a terminal degree to teach at my school. I do research, but the software is always changing. There's always new ideas. It's kind of, you're forced to do research. So I don't go out of my way to do research.
Surprise that this is happening, but it will certainly leave a mark, not just from the obvious visual standpoint. Can you talk about the emotional significance of painting over these words?
Well, I can talk about the emotional significance because I know this so-called professor here is not going to have anything of value to say because she has a degree in race and gender studies or something stupid like that. That doesn't matter. So there is no emotional impact on anybody with any kind of integrity, any kind of maturity. If you are emotionally impacted by the painting over of the words Black Lives Matter, when it should say human beings matter, it shouldn't even say that because we all know that human beings matter, but whatever. Nobody in the country is going around going, oh yeah, black people don't matter. Black lives don't matter. It's fine. We can just ignore them. We all know the sentiment. We all understand the sentiment. And there was such a big uprising in the country, destroying the country, hurting people who are innocent, killing people who are innocent. So if you're emotionally disturbed by this, then grow up.
To wrestle with the fact that not only are we at a different place in terms of the administration, we're at a different place in terms of people's feelings around diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're at a different place when it comes to the erasure of historic programs in Black history and women's history. We're now seeing that the next step is removing or covering up these visual representations that were so important during the Black.
Okay, so what erasure of historical support systems is there? This is, she said that They're getting rid of these support systems for black people. Yeah, and we're in a different administration. This is, my understanding, this is illegal, right? You're not supposed to make these political statements on public property. It's not for that. Public property is not, at least a government is not supposed to allow this sort of thing, because we're supposed to be neutral. As a public entity, you're supposed to be neutral. You're not supposed to take sides. And it only makes sense, right? Like, okay, so a couple days ago, I had utility work out here on my utility lines, my electrical lines. They had to shut the power off for hours. Fortunately, they did it at night. So, I mean, it did disrupt my life because I'm a night person, but it wasn't terrible. It wasn't like all throughout the day. But if those utility workers disagree with me somehow, religiously, politically, ethically, somehow, and they just say, "Oh no, I'm not going to do the job for you because I don't like you. I don't like your opinions. I don't like your thoughts or your ideas." It's not supposed to be about that. It's just supposed to be about what it is that is best for everybody.
Black Lives Matter movement, these historical markers that we have looked at as being the way of understanding how it is that an organization, that an institution, that a city wrestles with something that is so important.
Are you kidding me? You're telling me that these words on here help the city struggle with equality between the races? Really? I don't believe you. Of course, she's a professor, so she's very, 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 very intelligent, highly educated, all of the things, right? That's how this works. We know as soon as you get the PhD, so you get the PhD there, you know that your IQ drops by 150 points. So.
Yes, and you talk about the ripple effects. What do you think the reaction will be to the change here in the city and nationwide, especially once that mural is gone?
You're going to have this camp of people who are like me, who are concerned about what does it mean to move down this path of erasure. Kind of a second camp, I would say it's people who are happy that it's being removed. We know that Black Lives Matter was not celebrated across the board. We know that Black Lives Matter is considered to be something that was divisive, and people thought we were saying only Black Lives Matter, and we were saying Black Lives Matter too. Like, in addition to other lives matter, we were saying our lives matter as well, specifically when.
Yeah, but you weren't saying that. You were saying only Black Lives Matter, and there was video. I can't find it now, but there was video of people saying no, all lives matter, and then people fighting back against that. Only Black Lives Matter is what people are saying, and this is a movement. Only Black Lives Matter. We understand that Black Lives Matter, but you don't need to tell us. And if you're going to make a movement that says "Oh, Black Lives Matter," that means you're saying that nobody else matters. And this is actually codified in our laws here in the United States. You can't have like a specific day to celebrate a specific race of people unless you have a specific day for each of the other types of people. So that's why we don't have these sorts of holidays that are like, oh, Black People's Day or White People's Day or Women's Day. Well, we do have a freaking Women's Day, which is stupid, but there's also a Men's Day. So see, makes up for it.
When it comes to a conversation around police brutality. And then there's a third group of people, and those are the ones I'm most concerned about, who are not even going to know that there's a difference. Like, they never paid attention to it. They don't know why it's significant. And so when it gets removed, they're not even aware that this really signifies a huge shift in where we're moving as a nation.
What are other changes you're expecting to see, as city leaders have said that they have to work with this new administration strategically?
I'm expecting to see a lot of challenges in cities around the country where any visible markers dealing with freedom, representation, equity, diversity, inclusion will be challenged.
So the problem is with all those things is they're not about what they say they're about. Inclusion and equity, they're not about either of those things. Inclusion means only Black people. Equity means only for Black people. It might include other races of people, but not white people. They're not allowed to have inclusion or equity for white people, especially white men.
I'm expecting that mayors might take the path of least resistance, which is what I see happening in Washington, D.C. Rather than fighting the president and fighting the representatives on this, it's easier to just remove it with the idea that if I just play along at this moment, then maybe I can be in a better position to get what I need for my city going down the road.
Thank you so much for your time and for joining.
All right, moving on from that, you have the segment here from Fox that we're going to take a look at.
Tonight, the days are numbered for D.C.'s Black Lives Matter Plaza. Supporters say it inspired and raised awareness about racial injustice and inequality. But after
You're right, it did. It taught me that, the woke are highly entrenched and they're not going to go anywhere. And they're going to tear down the monuments of the past that were erected by white people to honor white people. There are also monuments from the past that were erected to honor non-white people that were being torn down, though, too. So these people are just ridiculous. Anything that was done by a white person must be evil inherently. It's like people say nowadays about Trump. Trump could say breathing is amazing, and everybody would be like, oh, no, it's wrong. Hold your breath. Stop breathing.
After pressure from Republicans in Congress, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser says it will be changed. Fox 5's Shamari Stone is in Northwest tonight with the details.
Tonight, there are dozens of protesters here at Black Lives Matter Plaza. Many of them walked up to me and said that they are upset about D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser's announcement. You see them right over here, and Black Lives Matter Plaza has become a landmark.
I like how you look at this picture right here. Go ahead and look at it. How many black people do you see here? It's a bunch of woke simps who want to virtue signal about how Black Lives Matter. Are they going to Africa and being like, hey, you need to stop slavery because Black Lives Matter? Nope. They're virtue signaling here because they think that they're on the right side of history here. So much garbage. So much garbage.
Here in the district, as you can see, we are just right by the White House, and it has been here since the summer of 2020 after protests over racial injustice and police brutality. Tonight, Mayor...
Yeah, protests over racial injustice and police brutality. You mean riots?
Bowser saying it will be replaced as part of D.C.'s America 250 mural project involving students and artists from across all 8 wards in the district. Black Lives Matter Plaza was created after protests and unrest broke out nationwide following the deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, becoming a place for people protesting against racism, police brutality, and the justice system. Now, there have recently been efforts in Congress to force the mayor to make the change or lose federal funding. No word on when the change will take place. In a statement, Mayor Bowser saying in part, quote, "The mural inspired millions of people and helped our city through a very painful period. But now we can't..."
If this is your inspiration, you really need to start reading books.
"Can't afford to be distracted by meaningless congressional interference," end quote. This is
meaningless congressional interference. No, you shouldn't have these sorts of political statements on public spaces. If I have a private space, I can put up whatever I want to. But to have city workers paint this on the streets, that my tax dollars pay for that. Right? If I live in that city, and probably some of my tax dollars not living in that city go to that too. Who knows? I don't know where all the taxes go. As far as I can tell, they just put it in a big pot and just, start throwing it in the air, and whoever can grab the most of it gets it. If you like my content, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. You can find me on Rumble and on Twitter. Now back to the video. But yeah, if you are inspired by this, if this is your hope, your inspiration, your guidance, you're an idiot. There should be none of this Black Lives Matter. I don't go around saying White Lives Matter. I don't go around saying Hispanic Lives Matter. None of that stuff. You shouldn't be saying that stuff.
Tragic. This really meant a lot to us as a community when we were really dealing with and struggling with the murder of George Floyd. And to see it just be erased really strikes at the heart of our community.
I think it's very...
That's the heart of your community, really? Okay.
Shameful, because the attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the attack on protests such as Black Lives Matter, I think it's an attempt to erase us and our...
Nope, it's not an attempt to erase you. Diversity, equity, and inclusion excludes white people. Therefore, it's not diverse, it's not equitable, and it's not inclusive.
Our struggle and our history. And
your struggle, really? What are you struggling with there? You have the same struggles that everybody else in the United States has. You can sit here and say, oh, there's racism. It's not systemic racism. There's no systemic racism. That's illegal. Yes, there's racism. People are racist. People are racist in every different direction, though. So just because there's more white people here, so therefore you're going to probably receive more racism because there's just more of a group that isn't different from you.
And it's wrong, and I'm just sorry that the mayor felt that she had to give in to that extortion.
And Mayor Bowser says that federal job cuts must be the #1 concern right now. You can read her full statement on fox5dc.com.
Federal job cuts should be the #1 concern right now. That is unfortunate when you lose your job. I know I've lost my job like 10 times in my life, something like that. I think I've been fired 8 times or something. So I don't remember exactly the right number, but it can be very, very distressing. I'm not going to deny that. But if my tax dollars are going to pay for something that is completely unimportant, such as transgender studies in Syria or somewhere, transgender studies anywhere, we don't need that. I do not want my tax dollars going to that. I want my tax dollars to provide nice, clean, safe cities for me. I want them to provide for national defense, for a healthy space program, for these sorts of things which are going to make us a better country overall. Yeah, do I want it to go into education? Of course. But the Department of Ed has clearly screwed this country, so we need to figure out a different system for educating people because, and it's the woke that are always saying, oh, it's these uneducated people who voted for Trump, and this and that and the third. I know people with master's degrees who voted for Trump, so you can't even use that argument. You're just being stupid. So we need to have a better education system. The education system is failing us as a people in general because science is not here and not staying here, not coming here. We're not focused on what science says, how to improve science, how to explore. New Frontiers, et cetera, et cetera. All these are things that I want to see improved in this country. I don't want to see any of these frivolous programs going to other countries. And we should support our fellow countries. We should help them. But we got to make sure that things are all right here first. Why are there homeless veterans? You pay your debt to this country by being, especially if you're a combat veteran, you gave your life, potentially gave your life for this country. You should have some sort of housing voucher or something. So, of course, if we did that, then there would be a huge explosion of people going into the military so they could get free housing. And we would run out of housing options for people real quick because there'd be so many people going into the military to get the free house. Anyway, that's all I got for this time. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.